Okay, I think we're live anyway. Hello and welcome back to the Football Rundown. Okay, we're back here today with the match preview live. We're not usually live with a lot of these previews, but busy period around Christmas, isn't it? And because of that, we will be going live for some of these games. Obviously, got this one, the one on New Year's Day as well, which I think we'll probably possibly be going live for around that time. But yeah, like I say, last game of 2025. It's a home game for Stockport County. We take on Doncaster Rovers tomorrow. Obviously, being Monday night, I'm really mixed up with the days at the moment. Hopefully, everyone can hear me okay as well. People can let me know the sound is okay. That'd be great. But yeah, like I say, so home game for Stockport County. That doesn't mean much at the moment. It's not a positive thing at the moment, given how form has been obviously recently. Like I say, not been great. I think that's probably putting it quite lightly as well. Home form has been really, really poor, and I think that's something we spoke about quite a bit. Obviously, quite frustrated as well with the game on Boxing Day. Again, mixed up with days at the moment. But yeah, I just want people's thoughts on what is going on with Stockport County at the moment. Basically, put out a comment on Twitter asking for people's opinions, what they think is going wrong at the moment, and there's just a barrage of different opinions. A lot of people question the recruitment, the players. Some people even saying that us putting the away fans in the railway end hasn't helped because we should have both sort of sides, behind the goal should be full of county fans. I don't think that's really the reason why we've been so poor at home. But yeah, basically a lot of people with a lot of opinions, as to why we have struggled so much at home in this season. Now, obviously, got a couple of injuries as well. We're going to talk about going into this game. Got a load of notes, but it's scrambled all over the place. So yeah, our home form, we are 19th in the table based on home form. We've picked up just 4 wins in League One from 11, I think it is, might be 10 or 11 home matches in League One. 19th in the home table. So 4 wins. I mean, there's not many teams with less than 4 wins at home in the league this season. I think someone's got 3 league wins at home. I think someone's got 1. I think that might be Port Vale possibly. But the thing is, you look at that and you hear how bad that is, but then you look at the away form and we're top of the table for the away form. So it can't be down to the quality of the players, can it? Because the same players, when we go away from home, we can go in and put in, well, maybe not a performance, but we get a result. So it's a little bit of a strange one. A lot of people will question the quality of the players, but how come the players are good enough when away from home, but they're not when they're at home? And I think that's something that I think a lot of people are sort of a loss at in terms of trying to understand. Chowan basically said that maybe it's because teams are a little bit more reserved. I think it was when they come to Edgy Park. I think that's what they said. I'm not sure if that's the case. I just think that maybe there's a pressure playing in front of home fans. Again, I think we're all sort of guessing, aren't we? But the form hasn't been great, and we are hoping to end the year on a high. And we are facing a team in Doncaster, which, let's be honest, we beat just a few weeks ago, and it wasn't hard work. It wasn't hard work. I don't think we played well in the first half in that game, but we took the chances, or we took some of the chances we had in the second half of that game, and that was enough to get a 2-0 win, which is probably it's our last win, in a very long time, isn't it? So it feels like that. Apart from the Mansfield game, again away from home, so there is a little bit of a sort of pattern emerging here. We do play better away from home. I mean, and like I say, I think in some ways as well, saying this about the Lincoln game, going into the Lincoln game, they were better at home than they were away, and County were better away than at home. So I almost felt as if both teams in that game had a better chance if the game was played elsewhere, but obviously it wasn't. So, and then obviously we lost that game, sort of on the back of that defeat. There's been a lot of questions being asked, and I think we'll see, irrespective of what happens tomorrow night, I think we'll continue to see a lot of questions be asked, because whether or not we win tomorrow, whether or not we don't win tomorrow, whatever happens, there's a lot of lack of trust in the players, and even probably maybe the management to some degree as well. I mean, there's some people questioning the manager, there's some people questioning the recruitment, there's some people questioning the players, there's some people who question all of those things. So it's going to be interesting to see what people think. And it'll be interesting to see what the reaction will be on the back of the game tomorrow. But look, I always like to go into these games optimistic. I always like to think we've got a chance. Of course, we have a chance. We're playing a team which is not in a great position in the table. I mean, I've got it up here. They are 23rd in League One. Now, you're telling me that isn't a game that County should be looking to win at home as well, which should be an advantage, but it hasn't been. I'm sorry, if we don't win this game, then I think there are going to be even bigger question marks than what we have at the moment about whether or not this team can go and get promoted this season, which some people will look at it and go, why is there such a panic? We're still in the playoffs, and we could still get promoted. And what I would say to that is, well, yeah, we are still in the playoffs, but that's mainly down to how no one really seems to be running away with this league. I think we're quite lucky, really, that we still find ourselves in the playoffs, given the last 2 months. And that's almost why I think so many people are so frustrated. It's because if we hadn't been as poor as we as sort of we have been, and we were as good as what we probably should be and what people think we should be, then where would we be in the league? And I think what we're realizing is maybe we can't be as good as we think we are. We can't be a team which is. I've said it a few times now. You lose 3 or 4 players and you crumble. That can't be good enough, and that isn't sustainable, is it? I mean, if we say, let's say Ollie Norwood in particular is the biggest player that we have in that 11. When you miss him, when he's not playing, like I say, we went from what we were on that decent run, unbeaten run where we picked up a few wins as well in that time. If you go from that to then losing him, and then suddenly you pick up, what was it, 3 or 4 points or something in 5 games without him, and as soon as he comes back in again, you win against Mansfield, but then you lose. And I just think that's for me a little bit what the problem is at the moment. It's like we beat Doncaster 2-0 away from home, and you think maybe there's positives going into this game against Stevenage at home on the Saturday. Then you lose to Stevenage. Then you go and beat Mansfield, and you think, you know what, maybe Norwood's back now as well. Players are coming back. Maybe now we're going to go and turn a corner. Then you go and lose the game on Boxing Day like we did. So it just feels like every opportunity where you want to be positive at the moment, you get slapped in the face straight away again and go, no, you can't be positive about it at the moment. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people as well saying, well, we just need to get to January. Well, my problem with that is, if a lot of people are questioning the recruitment, then what's going to change in January? If people think that we've had a bad recruitment over last summer, possibly last January, what's going to change this January? What's going to be different? If people think that the recruitment's been so bad the last few times, then why is it suddenly going to change this time? So yeah, I think that's the one thing I keep thinking about. It's like, well, we can get to January, we can say, oh, well, that's going to fix everything. The reality is we had a summer and that didn't fix everything. So I'm not that positive at the moment, because I don't have a reason to be that positive about getting to January transfer window and thinking things will sort of turn around. I don't believe that will necessarily happen. I hope it happens. I hope that we get to I hope we win the game tomorrow. But what's it built on? It's built on only hope. There's no genuine belief really that we'll go in and put in a really strong performance tomorrow, because the players give us that belief and confidence over the course of the season. So far this season at home, they've proven at more times than not they'll let us down. So I think that's where we're coming from. Like I say, if you look at it and you go 23rd, playing teams 23rd in the League One table, we should absolutely be winning that kind of game of football. And look, we should. There's still a very good chance we do. But at the end of the day, as well, you got to be winning these games. You got to be winning these games if you want to get promoted. So even if we win tomorrow, that's great. We move on. We go into 2026. Then we've got 2 away games to start the year. That's a brilliant thing for us at the moment, based on how we've been so far this season. But if we want to do what we want to do at the end of the season, which is get promoted, we've got to turn around that home form. We're still, as I say, I think we're lucky we're in a position where that's still realistic. I mean, what's the points now between us and automatic promotion? You look at Lincoln, 41 points. They play the game more as well. We're 6 points away from automatic promotion, and that's after how poor we've been. So if we can just turn things around, if we can just not be as poor as we have been over the last 2 months, there's still a good chance we can get automatic promotion, which is absolutely amazing. I think it says a lot about how poor this league's been this season, to be honest. A lot more than how good we've been, because I don't think we have been. I don't think we have been that great. I think, like I say, a lot of the wins we've had so far this season have been wins that we've grinded out. I can't think of many games where we've put in a really, really strong performance over 90 minutes. I don't think we've done that at all this season. I think even the most sort of positive County fan out there will have to admit that we've not put in a strong performance over 90 minutes all season. So if you're not doing that, then how can you expect to be a team that's going to go and get promoted? And also, as well, big thing for me, look, there's still a good chance we do get promoted. There's still, there were times last season where things weren't brilliant. We had a really strong end to the season, the second half of the season. That can happen this year as well. But what I'd say is a little bit like what people were saying back in the last season. Are we going to be strong enough to stay in the Championship? It's all well and good saying, oh, can we get over the line? Can we get into the Championship? We don't want to get in the Championship just to be that 24th side in there. We want to be a team that's going to stay in that league and grow and compete. So if we're struggling like we are in the first half of this season, then you've got to do a lot, haven't you, to be competitive? Should you go up, to the Championship come the end of this season? So a lot of work to be done. I think we have to be optimistic. We have to be hopeful that in January we do fix a lot of problems. But the reality is, we had a big opportunity in the summer and we didn't do the most of in that window. And it's a lot tougher to do deals in January. So if there's anyone out there thinking, don't worry, we'll fix it in January, I applaud the optimism, but I just don't have that myself personally at the moment. But as I say, this is the preview for the Doncaster game. I guess we're just sort of venting frustrations about the bigger picture, which isn't just about one specific game. It's not just about the Lincoln result. It's more about how the first half of the season's gone and the frustrations with that. So, but we will get into, of course, Doncaster. We've obviously played them recently, which kind of helps in one sense, kind of doesn't in another. On one hand, we know how to play against them because we played against them recently. On the other hand, they also know how to play against, or they should know how to play against us because they've had, first-hand experience of it not too long ago. So, like I say, in some ways, it's more of an advantage for Doncaster not being at home because they're playing us at home. They're playing us where we're the home side, and that hasn't been a good thing for us. Like I say, just 4 wins in the league at home so far this season. When you look at the away form, though, like I say, top of the table away from home. I mean, it's a really, really bizarre situation to be in. I just, like I say, I think I'm really thankful that we actually have 2 back-to-back away days starting the new year, because I think that gives us a really good opportunity to get off to a really strong start in 2026. But I think we've got to end end 2025 with a strong win. I think that as well, when I look at the problems at the moment with County, I don't think we score enough goals. I think it's both. I think football can be really simple, can't it? And I think we don't score enough goals. We don't defend well enough. Some of the mistakes we've made, we've been really sloppy at times. But I've said a lot. When in possession, we do not move the ball quick enough. We are too passive. We are too cautious. And I guess what I want to kind of get into is the system, if you like, a little bit. Is the back 5 too negative? Is one question. So then automatically you think, well, you go back to playing the 4 then, don't you? Do we have the players to play a back 4? And I think that's where we're almost caught out at the moment. We've brought in players to play a back 5 or a back 3, however you look at it. We don't, that could be perceived to be too negative. We maybe don't have, with that sort of 2-man midfield, do we have enough sort of bodies in the midfield to control and dominate games? Possibly not. And I've always been more in favour of playing a 4 at the back. But this season, I've looked at it and gone, actually, we don't have the players to play 4 at the back, so I'd rather see us play a 5, even if it does mean, away from home, it's worked. I think you can get away with playing a 5 at the back or a 3 at the back away from home because you're not the team sort of expected to control and dominate the games. So you can almost get away with that, and that's been shown sort of in in the away form table. But where you're the home side and you're expected to be the dominant side, to control the game of football, we don't have enough in the middle to sort of control those games of football. We're not controlling games. We're not dominating games. We're not scoring enough goals. And I think that that's the problem at home. And I think you fix that by being able to play with maybe three in the middle where you can control the game more. You've got more bodies in the middle of the pitch. We're not going to hopefully be as easy to play through. And hopefully we move the ball quicker. And hopefully we've got maybe sort of players closer to one another when we win the ball that we can pick out, the attacking players more easily, perhaps. So that is something I think we could look at doing. But like I say, we have to bring in players that allow us to play a back four again. Last season we could play a back four because you had Ibi Toure at left back, really, really sort of reliable, brilliant defensively, not as great going forward, which we all knew about. But if you stick someone in front of him, it's good going forward. A Jack Diamond, let's say now, or Lou Barry of last season, that's pretty solid down that left-hand side. So you could afford to play a back four last season because of him. Right back, we still had options in terms of Salvin Hales and Noyle. Of course, both had injury problems. Both moved on in the summer. And I actually agreed with, well, not necessarily agreed, but I could understand why both of those were allowed to move on. The biggest problem in the summer is deciding to go down that 3 or 5 at the back route, bringing in wing backs or players to play wing back, and then those players not being good enough. So we got rid of 2 players in right backs who can play as a right back to bring in O'Keefe who can play as a wing back. And the problem is he's just not very good, is he? So I think that we're not playing the right players. I mean, we've played Shea Gardner there. For me, I think he's a good player that's got a bright future, but he's not a right wing back. We played Jaden Fevre there. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's a player which causes a lot of indecision for defenders. He must be a nightmare to try and stop. But again, he's not a right wing back. So we don't have the right players to play that. And that's where I think we're really struggling is we probably are maybe too negative playing with a 5 at home, but we don't have the players good enough to play with a 4. So I don't know how we go about fixing that. Obviously, we've got players. Jay Mingy's on loan at Crewe. I don't know how well he's done in League 2 with Crewe, but and I'm not even sure if we'd be able to recall him. But for whatever, it didn't seem to work with him last season either. For whatever reason, Charlie never seemed to want to play him, or he seemed to have injury problems here and there. He seemed to go sort of missing for a while as well. I don't mean literally. I mean, but obviously he was missing from the team in terms of wasn't being selected, and there was a lot of not sure why he was missing. So something went on with Mingy, and I'm not entirely sure what that was. But yeah, I think that just checking something there. Yeah, I think that for whatever reason, it didn't work out with Mingy, and I'm not sure he would return in January sort of anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. Like I say, I think back 5 could be perceived to be fine. Like I say, be fine away from home. Probably too negative when at home, but I don't think we have the players to play back 4. So it's kind of a catch-22. In terms of what is the weakest position in the squad, I guess I kind of answered that with the wing backs. I think that is probably the thing that's holding us back the most, because if you are going to play with a 5 at the back, then you want to make it a 3 at the back at home, and you want to make that a really aggressive sort of lineup, and you want to have wing backs that are going to be really good going forward, but also capable defensively as well. But you want to be sort of in a position where those wing backs are sort of pinning the opposition back and not allowing them to get out their own half. And we don't do that. We don't really have them. I mean, for example, we started Tyler Onyango there on Boxing Day. Now, the problem with Onyango is, and I think he's a decent player, injured now, of course. He's quick, he's tall, he's about 6'5", he's decent, in the air as you'd expect someone of that height to be, I guess. But and I think he's fairly composed on the ball. But for me, he's not a right wing back. He's much better in the middle, whether or not you play him in midfield or you play him as a centre back. I think he's okay in those positions, but he's not a right wing back. And we saw it in the first half, right up until his injury. Sort of late on in that first half, that he's not adventurous enough to play as a wing back. He doesn't want to go past the halfway line. That's not where he's comfortable. So it does become a 5, and when you do that, for me, it is too negative. So I think that we need to find someone. If we're going to play this 5 at the back, we've got to find players that can do it. If not, we've got to bring in players that can play as a right back in a back 4. And I think that if we can do that, then I think that we can fix a few problems, and hopefully we have a strong end to the season. But at the moment, I think we're in for look. Every season has been an improvement on the season before, and that's been something that's happened for around, I think it's the last 10 or so years. We've always improved from the sort of year before, and obviously Charlie's got that record for always being in the playoffs with everywhere he's been. So do I think we'll maintain that record? Do I think we make the playoffs this season? Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think we do make the playoffs, because I think that for as poor as we've been the last 2 months, we're still in there, and I think we'll have better spells in the second half of the season. I do still think we'll sort of be in the playoffs. The question mark is, whereabouts will we be in the playoffs? Will we comfortably be in the playoffs? Will we comfortably get automatic promotion? Or will we just about get in the playoffs? And that's the thing for me. Because if we're just about getting in the playoffs and just about making it, I'm concerned that we're not actually good enough to go up. And that's the thing for me. It's not just about can we find a way to get promoted this season. If we want to be capable of going into the championship next season and competing, then you've got to be one of the better teams that's thriving in this league to give yourself a fighting chance, in my opinion. But look, like I say, Doncaster tomorrow should be a game that we should be winning fairly comfortably. Like I say, I know Charlie said that Doncaster tend to find themselves in games, but obviously, what does that mean in the end? Because at the end of the day, they're 23rd in the table and they've lost 12 already this season from 22 league games played. So for me, I don't see any excuses for losing the game. I think it's a must win. I think that it's about time we put in a performance that the home fans deserve that. I mean, how many games this season at home have we actually played well in? That's the thing for me, because the fans deserve that. The fans do deserve to be entertained. At the end of the day, when you strip it all back, football's an entertainment sort of thing. And at the moment, it's not been entertaining so far this season. Fans have shown a lot of loyalty. They've gone week in, week out. It's about time that the players gave something back, and that's by putting in a really enjoyable performance to watch over 90 minutes, get a strong win, end 2025 on a good note at home, and then go into 2026, two away games back to back, Northampton and Reading. Obviously, our away form recently has been, this season has been really strong. You get two good results there, and and suddenly you're in a really decent position. Suddenly you can be 3 games in a row with a win, and then you'll start to feel like we've turned a corner, which is where we want to be. So it's not all doom and gloom at the moment, but if we continue to go in the direction we're going in, then I think things can potentially end up getting quite toxic, because I can see that going. I can see it going in that direction. I can see people starting to, like I say, question the players, question the manager, question the recruitment, and all that can be put to rest with a few good performances and showing people that there's something to be positive about. Because at the moment, you really are searching to find something. I mean, for me, like I say, I don't think we have. I've said this a few times as well now. We've got Kyle Wootton. He scored 8 goals, I think it is, in League One so far this season. No one else really gets close to him in terms of numbers, in terms of in front of goal. I mean, Jack Diamond's probably the closest we've got. Ollie Norwood's probably the closest we've got to that as well. I think they've both scored 4 in the league. I don't think we're scoring enough goals for a team that wants to get promoted. When I look at how many goals teams score, you want to be where Cardiff are ultimately, and they're top of the league, so obviously it's an easy thing to say, but they're scoring goals. Like I say, football can be really, really basic. How would you? What makes you the best team? Generally, what makes you the best team is a team that can, keep clean sheets, have a fairly decent defensive record, and can score more goals. I don't want to sound sort of very basic Michael Owen about it, but it's true. I think that we're just very average at the moment. We kind of average in terms of the amount of goals we score. We kind of average about the amount of, sort of our defensive record. We're kind of just in the middle for everything. And I don't really think we're not prolific in front of goal. We're not brilliant defensively this season. So what is our thing that we're good at? Because if you look at Stevenage this season, their thing is that they don't score loads of goals, but they're defensively tight. They keep themselves in games, and they're clinical with their chances. That's what I think Stevenage seem to be. So at least you can say, right, well, they don't score loads of goals, but at least they're brilliant defensively. I don't know what our thing is. I don't really know what it is we're trying to do. Are we trying to be a team that's going to defend really well? That's why we're playing with a 5 and then be clinical. Well, we're not doing that, and we're not the team that's going to concede a load, but we're going to score more. So we're not like the sort of the great entertainers either. So I don't really know what it is we're trying to do, but I do think that we can fix a lot of problems by just basically putting an extra man in midfield. I think would really help us, and I think that there is a way you can do it, especially against teams in the lower half of the table. Look, I'm saying I'm not sure we've got someone who can play right back in a 4, but when you're playing it, that's me talking about when we're playing the best teams in this league. We're playing teams like Doncaster, which, no disrespect to them, they are where they are in the table for a reason. And I just look at that and I go, if we can find someone to put it right back, you can easily put Ben Osborne into midfield with Norwood and Bailey. I think that's going to give you automatically a lot more control in games when at home. Then you play Teo Edun at left back, who's looked, I thought he looked reasonably good when he finally got going, finally got back in the side a couple of weeks ago. For whatever reason, he seems to be in and out the team again now. On the bench, comes on, but he isn't starting games for whatever reason. So I think that you put him at left back, you put Osborne in midfield with Bailey and Norwood, 2 decent centre backs. Pye, obviously not Lowu now, but maybe a Brad Hills or Callum Connolly when he's back. Someone, who do we play at right back? Probably, well, Jack couldn't say for, I don't know, a few days, isn't he? But I do think you can play a 4 at the back. I do think you can put a 3 in midfield, and I do think you can have a front 3 of Fevs, Diamond, and Wootton maybe. And I think that would be a lot more exciting than what we've been at the moment. And at least it would at least it would feel like we're trying to do something different than what we've done so far this season. And I think if we tried to do something different and we saw a few positives from it, I think people would get on board with that. We've got someone in the chat here, Luke, saying good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in live. So yeah, I do think we need to change. I do think we need to change something. I think I put on the banner of the thumbnail that we're sort of a shell of the team that we were, and that refers to last season. I think that I don't know if I've said it on air in the last few weeks, but part of me thinks that we're a worse team than what we were last season. And I did have these concerns in the summer. I was concerned about the recruitment. I know a lot of people were saying at the time, trust the process. They've never got anything wrong, all that kind of stuff, or they've not got much wrong. A lot of people are saying trust the process. A lot of these same people now are constantly questioning the recruitment and the management and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of them, isn't it? I was concerned when we let a lot of players go. But yeah, it's one of those. And even myself, I started to go, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll get it right. Then they brought in Lowe, who had a good reputation of scoring last season. I thought maybe I'm being too harsh on it here. Maybe I need to be a little bit more positive. And I tried to be positive, but I did always have that feeling of I'm not sure we're getting this right, and that's sort of proven to be right. And because of that, I'm now thinking, do we have it in us to fix it in January? Because how often do we get things right in January as well? Like, when was the last time we signed a player in January that worked? I mean, last January was horrendous. We brought in Mika Hamilton, barely played. Sam Cosgrove barely played. We brought in obviously Moxon, again, a big talking point. A lot of people think he's going to be gone within 12 months of signing. So January last year wasn't a strong January. If I go for the one before that, I think we brought in, was it Odin Bailey? Again, a lot of people would say he was a decent player, went on loan with us, but then when he signed permanently, wasn't really very good until recently, until probably against Cardiff this season. So January windows have not been typically successful for us. I guess you could say 2023 was it. Did we get a Laffy on a permanent deal in January 23? But you're going back nearly 3 years to find a good January transfer window. So yeah, how good are we in that? How good have we been in windows the last few years as well? And everyone goes on about, a couple of months ago in the summer, everyone was saying about how great this recruitment team is. Yet at the same time, we're just saying, "Oh, we need Barry back all the time." Well, if we're such a good recruitment team, how can people think that we're only going to be successful if we have Barry? Why can't they believe that actually the club could find someone that could go on to do what Barry's done as well? So I don't know. Luke says wins a must tomorrow. 100%. I don't think there's any excuses for losing it tomorrow. To be honest, away from football, hope you have a good Xmas. Mine was a quiet one, eating too much. Well, that's fine. That's Christmas for you. We've all probably done that. To be fair to us, completely agree with what you said. I think I've said we haven't replaced Madden's start switch or collar. No, I mean I think I said it last January. I think I said that bringing Barry in on loan papered the cracks for Madden going. I think I said something like that probably this time last year, and I think that's the thing. I think I've said it a few times as well. We didn't replace Madden. We didn't really replace Sarcevic. We've not really replaced Collar. You let too many players go and you don't replace them. You're going to find problems, aren't you? And I think that obviously Mothercell's a big talking point as well. Mothercell's getting a lot of I think he's splitting the fan base because I think that people are wanting to be patient with him, or some people wanting to be patient with him. Some people have written him off. Some people were writing him off, to be fair, after 2 games. So I think we've got to take that into account. He's been signed as a club record player. That automatically brings expectation. Has he lived up to it? At the moment, no. I don't think anyone can say that. Again, we're always split because you've got fans who want to be optimistic, and you've got fans that are more pessimistic, and then you've got ones somewhere in between. Now, whichever way you sort of lean towards, then Mothercell hasn't lived up to it. But I think that there's reasons for it. I don't think he's had loads of opportunities to be fair to him. What I would say is I thought we saw when he came on against Peterborough away, I thought I saw sparks for the first time. I thought there's a player in him, and I think that's why we've signed him. But then I've not really seen much of it again since. Look, we know Mothercell can perform in this league because over the last 2 or 3 years, he's proven that at Peterborough. If you look at his numbers at Peterborough, year in, year out, there's progression. Those numbers have got better and better each year. So we know there's a player in Mothercell at this level. It's not that he can't adapt to the league. It's not a question of that. It's a question about whether or not he can adapt to Stockport County and whether or not Stockport County can adapt to him. And I think at the moment, that fit isn't working. Is that on the player? I think it's just as much on the club and the management staff as it is the player. It's not worked, and I think there's multiple reasons for that. But I think that we can pin it all on him, and that's not what I'm going to do. We're not where we are because we spent 2 million on Mothercell and he hasn't really lived up to expectation. We're where we are because we made probably too many changes in the summer and didn't get enough of them right. That's probably why we are. It's not because of one individual. It's because of multiple decisions that we, at the moment, haven't got right. And, I think we all know that's not I think we all know that we got it wrong, because if we felt we got it right, then you wouldn't have Challoner saying we need to get to January, which is basically what he said. He said that we'll do business in January. Most teams that have got it right in the summer are not desperate to get to the January transfer window. So there's that for it. Owen Moxon to Blackpool, I believe, be interesting. Would be an interesting one. I think he's a player that's. I don't like saying players have got to go. I don't like being that person. But at the end of the day, it hasn't worked out, and he's a player that I'd imagine he's probably on decent wages as well. He hasn't performed. I think we all said sort of back in the last season, maybe with a pre-season with the club coming back, really getting sort of match, because I know he didn't have a lot of minutes. I think was it Portsmouth, where sort of at the beginning of last season. So he kind of had an excuse for the second half of last season, but we expected more going into this season from him. We've not seen that, so I think it's quite right that he would move on. And given he wasn't involved in the squad on Boxing Day and he's not injured, I think we're probably not wanting to risk him getting injured because we want to move him on. And I think that's probably right for everyone. I can't imagine he's enjoyed his time here too much. We've not really enjoyed the best of him. He's probably a really decent player. I know a lot of people make a lot of his performances against us for Carlisle a couple of years ago at Wembley. There's obviously a player in him, but it's just not worked out. And I think it's probably quite right that we see the parting of the ways. And And like I say, better for both parties, really. So yeah, we have to forget about Barry now. Yeah, I think we do. I mean, I think that look, if there was an opportunity to bring him in on loan, I think that it would be a no-brainer. But obviously, he's picked up an injury problem, and I imagine that has probably ended any chance of that happening. But again, like, okay, you get him on loan, and then what? You go to the Championship, maybe. Then what? You try and sign him. Can we sign him anyway if we got to the Championship? And then what? You know, like, if we're so reliant on not having him to achieve stuff, but he's not our player, so. If you listen to Sartovich and Scarf, he never wanted to leave. Great interview with Russ, by the way. I've not seen it. I will go check it out because I always do try and watch what they do. But again, Christmas period, it's been busy. I'm doing stuff on this channel, a lot of games, quick period of time as well. I'm sure it's a really good interview as well because I know they're doing a lot of great stuff not just over the last 12 months, but in particular, I think it's gone pretty well for them the last 12 months. So I will check it out. But yeah, I always got the sense that he didn't want to leave the club. I always got the sense that Madden didn't want to leave the club. But again, these were football decisions, weren't they? Is what I think they were pretty much alluding to at the time. There's a lot of talk about wanting to go in a direction of bringing in younger players. So Sarcevic moves on. You bring in a Fiorini, again, another one. Someone made a great point the other day to me, and I've not gone out my way to fact check it, which I probably should have done, but they were saying to me, has Luis Fiorini actually played a full 90 minutes in League One for County since he signed? And I thought to myself, I can't remember him playing a full 90 minutes in League One. And he signed, nearly 18 months ago. So, I mean, there's another player, money wasted. I'm sure he's a decent player, but we've not seen that. And he's a player which is not being involved in any way, shape or form. He's collecting a wage. It's a wage budget being used up. Could that money be being better used? Could that money be being used towards, bringing in someone that might help us actually contribute? Because at the moment he's not contributing. He's not been given the opportunity to contribute much. Fiorini, again, a little bit like Moxon, a player that I'm sure is very talented, but it hasn't worked out. And I think that we'll probably see the parting of the ways, hopefully in the next month, because he's a reasonably young footballer. Fiorini, he needs to be playing football for the sake of his own career. He can't enjoy being in the position he's in. And again, we've not enjoyed having him at the club because we've not been able to see what he can do. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of players that need to move on. Do we need a new goalkeeper in January or stick with Ben and Adai? Interesting question. Great question as well, by the way, because we've been in this position for the last 18 months since Adai signed. It's been this thing of Hinchliffe or Adai, what do we do? Who's going to be number one? There's been periods of time where both have been in goal and both made mistakes, and then we've sort of had the other one go back in again. And there's problems with both of them. I think Hinchliffe isn't getting any younger. Even in his sort of best period of time, I don't think he was ever best with where the ball ends up in terms of kicking it and distribution. So there's always been that issue for him. I think that with Adai as well, he can't claim crosses, can he? I mean, we've not seen that. We've not seen that. That's the problem. That's been pretty well documented at the beginning of the season. I mean, we would have beaten Cardiff, for example, potentially, had he not had that sort of incident where either he was at fault or Hills was at fault, depending on how you look at it. He had a really bad start to the season. He's played well in some of the cup games since, but again, we're out the cups for the most part now, other than the Virtue Trophy. So, in terms of do we stick with Ben and Adai going into the rest of the season beyond January? I think the answer is yes, because I think that if you're going to bring in a new keeper, it's got to be a first choice keeper, someone that walks into the first team. And I think that if you're going to do that, you've got to move one of those two on, haven't you? And that's going to not be an easy thing to do with the amount that we need to do in January. Would the keeper situation be a priority? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was of the opinion of you get a goal scorer and a goalkeeper in, and you win this league. But the more I look at it, I think there's bigger problems at stake. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if there is any. I mean, Adai nearly went out on loan. Was it last January? There was rumours he was going to go, and last minute that didn't happen. So who knows? Watch this space, but at the moment, I think there's a lot to sort of fix, and it'll be difficult for the club to find out or decide what to prioritise. Where's the Moxon? He played really well against us at Wembley. He got man the match, I think, too, if my memory serves me correct. Me correctly getting old jokes. Well, I'm 23, but I feel 43 sometimes. Well, I think we all feel 73 after watching County the last few months. But I don't know. I don't know what's happened with Moxon. Like I say, you've sort of made the point, and I was saying before, a lot of people talk about that performance against County at Wembley a couple of years ago. We just haven't seen it. Has he still got it? I'm not sure, because I didn't watch loads of him before he turned up at County, and I don't think I've really seen what he's good at. I've said this a couple of months ago. He's not a great dribbler of the ball. He's not a great passer of the ball. He's not great. He's not got a great shot on him. As we found out a couple of weeks ago, a horrendous shot went blazing over the bar. I mean, look, that can happen to the best of players, but when you're not, shown much in nearly 12 months at the club, then those things really do stand out. And I think that, to sort of answer your question of where is that player, I don't know, but I don't think County ever really truly saw it. So disappointing, but I think it's what we'll see come to an end in January. Sam Hughes is another. Jay Mingy too, injured at their own clubs too. I don't think Hughes has kicked a ball for the Bosch in League One this season. Got made captain in the season, then got injured. So so Sam Hughes obviously moved on, didn't he, on a permanent after being on loan there. Captain's armband, injured. Is that the case with Jay Mingy? I'm not sure what's been happening with him, but like I said, this is all examples of recruitment that's gone wrong. There's very little examples in recent times where it's gone right, and I always think recruitment should be based on, you're not going to get everything right, but if you get 9 out of 10 right, then that's pretty successful. If you're only getting 1 out of 10 right, it's not so successful, is it? And if I look at the last few years, I mean, is there any signings that have gone right in the summer? Is there anyone we brought in I go, yeah, that's a fantastic player? If I'm trying to think who we brought in off the top of my head that's come in and done really, really well, then I'm thinking Ben Osborne, again, probably been the best player we brought in the summer, off the top of my head, unless I'm forgetting anyone here. You could maybe say Brad Hills, but again, he was on loan already last season. So who's new that's come in the building that we didn't have already, that we brought in the summer, that's really surprised me? Again, probably Ben Osborne. Can't really think of anyone else. Mothersill remains to be seen. But there we go. It just doesn't. It just goes to show it's not been that successful. Pre-season, I don't know about Jay. Did he go to Crewe? Yeah, he went on loan to Crewe. So we're not entirely sure what happened to him. I thought we might have seen him in and around the place when we played them in the cup, but I'm not sure if he did or not. Not too long ago, Adai nearly went to MK Dons on deadline day last January, I guess. I want to see that young Max get a chance, maybe if the trophy against Harrogate. So Max Metcalf is the keeper you're referring to there. He's often seen warming up with with Hinchliffe and Adai before games. Looks like a lively character. Looks like an enthusiastic character. Looks like a dedicated character. Looks like he wants to hopefully be in that position himself one day. Like you say, the Harrogate game might be a good opportunity. On the flip side of that, it's a cup game, and we know that second choice keeper gets cup games. So I think that, assuming that Adai or whoever doesn't get moved on before that game, I think that whoever Charlie decides is second choice will be in goal for that, and that means that Metcalf won't get that opportunity. So I said a couple of weeks ago, I was watching him warm up against Mansfield, I think it was, and I was just thinking to myself, like, he's got to go out on loan in January. He's got to be playing football. All these keepers that are sort of third choice, young keepers, third choice somewhere, and they've not got a chance of playing. They've got to go out on loan. They need minutes for development. It doesn't matter where you go out on loan. The best example I can think of in recent years is Dean Henderson. He was at Manchester United. He was in the academy there, comfortable. He's probably getting paid fairly decent wage for an academy keeper. Doesn't really need to go out of that sort of comfort zone, if you like. And he pushed himself. He went out on all these different loan spells: Grimsby, Shrewsbury, Darlington. I think it might have been County, obviously, 2016. Went to all these different clubs on loan. Didn't need to. But he took a gamble. He went to places where it was difficult, and I think he really learned from all those loan spells. And look at him now; he could potentially be starting for England and go in the World Cup, barring if Jordan Pickford gets injured. So that's the best example I can think in recent times. It doesn't matter what level you're going to go and play at. If you're good enough as a keeper, you'll eventually move up very quickly anyway. And I think that's the thing for Max Metcalf. I think he's got to go and play football, because as a goalkeeper, you know, your third choice, you're waiting for two goalkeepers to get injured before you're going to get a chance, and that's the problem with it. So I think it's exceptionally tough as a young goalkeeper. I'd like to see him get an opportunity somewhere where if you put him in goal for a league game and we lose, you're going to get slaughtered for it. So he's got to go and play football, and that's got to probably be somewhere else. But it's let's see what happens. Let's see what happens is what I'll say on that one. We need a young midfielder. We need Ben Osborne, Ollie Norwood can't run the midfield. They are 32, 35. We need a midfielder, a young one, but with experience. I mean, that's going to be tough to find. That is going to be tough to find. I mean, Lewis Bates obviously expected to be back mid-January. The way I feel about Lewis Bates is I think he's a great player. I think he's a really good player on his day, technically brilliant. I was a little bit surprised got the captain's armband. I think it does belong more with an Ollie Norwood type player, to be honest, but he's a good player. There's no doubt about that. But I also think he's a player which has had two fairly big injuries in the time he's been with us. He missed a month or two around this time last year, if I'm not mistaken. And he's missed all of this season so far. So he's going to miss 6 months of the season. Potentially, there's a proneness to injury there. That's what concerns me with Lewis Bates. And if that's the case, then if you get a decent fee for him, if he has a strong end to the season, you've got to sort of look at that, haven't you? So finding a young midfielder that's also got experience and played a lot of football, that isn't injury prone, that's good enough, I think it's going to be exceptionally tough to find. And also as well, if that player exists, other clubs are going to be aware of him, and he's probably going to jumping up a sort of a higher level, because we're in a position now where we almost want to sign players that are good enough to be in the Championship, because we want to be in that position ourselves. We want to be a Championship club. So the problem is you've got to compete with Championship clubs to sign these players. We don't really have the budget this season. We don't even look like we can't even sell them a project, because at the moment we don't look convincing. So it's going to be tough for us. I mean, I made a point of it as well, that I think there's a couple of players that are maybe free agents at the moment, looking for an opportunity back in the game, whether that be a Dele Alli, a Jesse Lingard, let's say. I'm not saying we should look at that, but I'm saying that these are players which have got experience of playing in higher leagues, Championship, the Premier League, and they're experienced, and they're currently not playing football anywhere. So we know how this works. We know that you sort of put the offer out there of come and train with us, see what happens. I think we could do worse than that. I really do. So I'd like to see that. I think if we're going to improve, I think we've got to sign players from leagues higher than where we are. If we're this is what I'm saying. I remember when we signed, I think it was Fevrier and Mingy when we went up from League Two, and I thought, we've just won League Two, we've gone up to League One, and we're signing two players, but nearly got relegated from League Two. Now, look, they might have been really good players, but I look at it and I go, my head tells me, why are we not signing players that are in League One? That's not to say they can't go and be good players, and I actually think Fevers has been a really decent signing for us, but we should be looking to buy better than where we are at the moment. That's how you progress, surely. It's not by going and buying players from below all the time. Look, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can do that, and sometimes you find a good young player that's getting minutes somewhere else, just below, and you think it's a step up. Then fine, fair enough. But when you're going up, when you've just been promoted, and you just won the league, and you sign players that have finished 20th or something like that in League Two, it's not a great look, and that always sticks with me. I just sort of look at it and I think, the last few years, our better players, Ben Osborne, Ollie Norwood, Louis Barry, all these kind of players, they've all come from higher leagues. And I think there's a reason for that, because Louis Barry came in And although he hadn't done well at a lot of places, he'd experienced a lot of places. And he'd been to Barcelona, he'd been to West Brom, he'd been to Aston Villa, he'd been to Ipswich and all these places. And even though it didn't work, he'll have learned something from that. So, and he showed that. He came to County and he was a better player, and he looked like he'd learned from whatever had gone wrong previously. Now, people say he's not done well at Sheffield and Hull since. Again, he'll have learned a lot from those spells as well. So I think that we need to sign players that are going to take us up, not players that are from leagues below as much. Is my opinion on that one. Is it me, or has Charlie not looked happy all season, even before the injuries have happened? More came when he does interviews with Liam and JK. He's not looked happy all season. I don't think, no. And obviously he's made comments that have wound people up as well this season. I still think there's a little bit of resentment from people from the comments that were made at Leyton Orient at Edgeley Park last season about fans leaving early. I still think that for me personally, I think he lost a lot of people when he said that, and I think that he had to go and have a really strong start to the season to win people back over again. I don't think he did. I don't think he did that. And funnily enough, I guess I started this by talking about why are we so poor at home compared to away. Has Chelsea lost the home crowd potentially with some of the comments he's made this season and at the back end of the last season? Because the like I say, you've said it there as well, doesn't look happy. I don't know what's going to happen there. He's obviously a very good manager, but he doesn't seem happy, and I think that maybe something's going on in the background we don't know about. Dele Alli will go to Birmingham. He knows that Gray lad who's been playing for them. Damari Gray, I think you're referring to there. Fair enough, that happens. But this is exactly the point I was making before as well when I was talking about County to mates. I was saying about Dele Alli, Lingard, these kind of players. They're all free agents, and clubs will come in for them at some point. I'm sure of it. Championship clubs will come in for them. That's exactly why we should be looking at them. If Birmingham think, yeah, he's good enough for us, then why would we not be testing the water? I'm not saying we're sort of gonna win that battle, but let's at least put ourselves in that battle to begin with. We should be trying to get ourselves in front of the best players that we can try and attract, and we should be trying to bring in the best players possible. What we shouldn't be trying to do is go, here's a player from League Two. This is going to help us turn around the season. I mean, again, we let Noyle go and we let Salvin Hales go, and then we go, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to bring in Corey O'Keefe on loan from Barnsley, who they don't even want. Work that one out. And then it goes wrong, and we go, we probably need a bit of cover at right back now. So what we'll do is we'll bring in Jack Hunt, who left Bristol Rovers because his contract's expired, and Bristol Rovers replaced him with Macaulay Salvin Hales, who we let go of because we wanted younger options that were more robust. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Does it even make sense? I just want to say as well, Dele Alli. Yeah, I was getting mixed up. I was thinking Lingard played for Birmingham, not Dele Alli, but yeah. Ignore all that. Do you know Codvlog's Fleetwood fan, Ben? He's really good. He focuses on his own team and has said a lot of kind things on County. He did the vlogs on Salford playoff game, home and away. I've heard the channel, not really seen much of it to be fair, but fair play to him. It's anyone who does vlogs or anyone does content, it's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and fair play to them on that. I've just reminded myself of some notes I had. I just want to say as well, Alowu and Tyler Onyango have both been ruled out of the game with injuries as well, which is not great news. So Onyango won't be getting that return to face his former club, which he did get a lot of stick against when he was playing a few weeks ago at Doncaster. He was actually being booed, which I thought was ridiculous given the amount of games he played for them, and given a lot of Doncaster fans had a lot of nice words to say about him when he left. Then they were calling him a bit of a rat and booing him at the game a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was very bizarre, to be honest. But yeah, here's some of the comments that Challoner made post-match, Lincoln. He said, quite evidently, too many players that are not robust enough because there's been a week between fixtures. We've hardly trained. We look at every single metric we're doing. Some of them will be a little bit unfortunate. What got me on that was where he said, evidently, too many of our players are not robust enough. And I think to myself, well, we know that they're not robust enough because every time we sign a player, they tend to release this statement where we sign the player, and they tend to sort of allude to the fact that we're aware that there's an injury problem and we're going to manage it. So they're aware when we bring these players in. You know, you ask any Derby fan, they'll tell you about Ben Osborne. The first thing they'll say before they say anything is he's got an injury record. A lot of them are surprised he played as many games for us, as he has already. So when we bring in players, they do typically have an injury problem. A lot of time we know about this. And then you get half a squad of players coming that have got injury problems, and then you're surprised that we have injury problems. It's just like, well, how can you be surprised by that? But also as well, we always have injury problems. That's nothing new. We also had a load of injury problems. A lot of teams have injury problems, but also as well, we won League 2, 23-24. I think the season finished for us in late April. So from late April to August, when our season started, was basically 3.5 months. We played Cambridge at home as our first League One game at Edgeley Park, 2-0 win. Barry and Wootton scored, I think. Then we played Blackburn on the Tuesday or Wednesday night in the Carabao before we played Blackpool away. And I think we had as many as about 13, 14 first-team injuries. We'd played one game in 3-4 months. You know, so how have you got that many injuries before balls really been kicked? We put out a kids' team, we got beat 6-1, something like that. So that's another time when we had injury problems. That's not because we played games. Charlie said there, we've had a full week between games. We've not really trained much. I don't really know why we've got players injured. Because we've signed injury-prone players. That's the problem. And with some players as well. This is the other thing. Because we're talking about players that are injured. A lot of time we know these players got injured. Also as well, Corey O'Keefe, not good enough. Well, I think most Barnsley fans could have told you that when we signed him. Most of them said not great defensively, and we saw that. We saw that he wasn't great defensively pretty quickly. So most people can give a fair opinion on something that tends to be true. You don't have to go out your way to find something. Is Macaulay Langstaff available? I'm not sure. I mean, look, this is a name that comes up pretty much every window for County. And what I would say is it really the route we want to be going down? You've made a point there before about the midfield. You've got Norwood and you've got Norwood and Osborne. They're older players. There's no longevity to it. I'd say the same with Macaulay Langstaff. I think that really what we need to do is we need to find, and again, it's easier said than done. We need to find another player that gives us what Tantarallafi gave us, because we brought in Nathan Lowe on loan. He's not really got going, as I think we'd all hoped, and he's not quick. He's got aspects of his game which I think in a few years' time from now, he might be fairly close to a Wootton-type player, potentially. If he can learn the ability to hold the ball up and to deal with defenders bullying him, which I still think Wootton struggles with actually at times as well. But if he can, if he can work on that load, then I think you've got a sort of a decent target man type player in the future. But he's not quick, and he's not that dissimilar from Wootton in the sense that Wootton's not particularly that quick. You sort of need an alternative to that, and we don't really have that. You've got Anderson there as well. Minutes have been limited, so I think that Langstaff wouldn't really be. I'm not saying he wouldn't do well, but for me, I think we need to go in a different direction. We need to sign someone that's a little bit more of the profile of player that Tantarallafi was when we brought him in. You bring that in, and you've got Anderson, you've got Wootton. I think we'd look a little bit more dynamic as a team, in my opinion. Try and get the keeper from Wednesday. Says 4 Premier in a row. Not aware who that keeper is, but I'm sure the club will be aware of it if they decide they want to bring in the keeper. And I'm sure I'll look at it. I liked that Lincoln right back and left back. I think someone said it on a yellow board, but they liked the Lincoln right back and left back. Right, fair enough. What's his name? He's asking about the name of the keeper. I'll go and check it maybe afterwards. Alfie's in the chat saying hi. Hi to you. We've done about an hour nearly, which is mad. It's gone by really quick. This is also something Charlie said as well. I just wanted to mention this as well. He said post-match, it's really, really hard to prepare when at the moment we're having to pick teams based around minutes. that people can play and not put them at risk. But when we're also losing other players that maybe aren't at risk, it becomes a real issue for us. So that's Charlie sort of voicing some frustrations he's got with players getting injured, and then that feeling of as soon as you're getting players back and you're sort of managing their minutes, you're then getting players that you wouldn't expect to get injured then being injured. Again, I understand that frustration, but at the same time, that is football, and I think that we played Mansfield a couple, 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago from now, and they were missing a load of players, and I think a Mansfield fan might have even tried to use that as a reason as to why they lost the game. Well, we had injury problems. I never like using injuries as an excuse. I don't. I understand it's difficult, but I still think that the team and the 11 we've put out in these games has been good enough to have done better than what we have done. I'm not saying we should win every game. I understand the challenges, but I still think at the same time, we should be doing better than what we have been if we want to get to where we want to get to, and if we're serious about getting to the Championship by 2027. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. I like the Lincoln goalkeeper. I also said the Leyton Orient or keeper. Well, there was was it Keeley? Was it Josh Keeley? I think he's now at Luton. He was a decent option. A lot of people saying Sam Tickle as well in the last few weeks. Again, a lot of names, but again, these keepers are going to cost money. And it's whether or not we want to prioritise that issue or not. So again, I don't know what our plans are in January. I've not really heard much about our plans in January either. I've not heard many names. By this point last year, we knew that Barry was going. By this time last year, we knew that Benno Anderson was going to sign for us. This year, I'm not aware of anything in terms of players going in and out. I can only sort of say that I think that Moxon's going to go. I think we might see one or two others go. But I'm not aware of any players coming in. Look, do I think we'll sign players? Yeah, I think we've got to. I think we'll see probably 2 or 3 players come in, and I think we'll probably see a similar amount leave. But I can't predict who that was going to be. Pierce Charles, I think is the name of the keeper he's referring to. He's saying there how the lad wasn't sent off and what he did to Hills is beyond me. One on the in the private area, but that's Marston for you. Fair enough. Well, sounds like they're having a conversation of their own, to be fair. But yeah, it's been an hour. We spoke a bit about Doncaster, but it's mainly been more about just the bigger picture, hasn't it, and how the first half of the season's gone. But yeah, I want to say I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. That would be a lie. I'm hopeful tomorrow, but let's see what happens. We will have the vlog out as well. We'll be there vlogging it as as usual. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm not entirely confident. I just want to see us do something. I want to see us put on a performance and get a result that really makes us feel like, you know what, second half of the season could be what we need, and hopefully we'll have a really strong second half of the season. And we do get promoted, and we do look like a better team, and we do go on and have a good January transfer window. But at the moment, I'm hoping for that. I'm not confident of that. So, like I say, I want to get your thoughts in as well. Anyone who's watching afterwards, do comment. Do like the video as well; it does help. Subscribe if you are new. In terms of tomorrow, can't even try. I'll try and give a prediction. In fact, I'll try and come up with one when I get into the vlog tomorrow. But yeah, at the moment, hopeful but not fully confident. Get your thoughts in. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in live, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with the vlog, where hopefully Stockport County will be ending the year of 2025 on a high at home. But recent home form suggests that won't be the case. But let's just see what happens. You never know. Football can change very, very quickly, and hopefully we get that win tomorrow to end the year on a high. As as Luke says here, that low needs to go. Doesn't do enough. Thanks very much, as always, for your live onwards and upwards. Thanks very much for that comment. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. As I say, hopefully with that big county win that we're looking for. But yeah, thanks and bye for now.